Hello Jeddies and Lennerman, and welcome back to another video on this channel. Today we're going over a topic that I've actually explored in the past on my previous channel, obviously before it got deleted, but I did want to speak about this again because it's something that I think everyone needs pretty much. It's like the biggest part of ordering things, it's actually finding them. So obviously we are going to be talking about how we find items on ACBuy today, because it's not as simple as simply searching on the web page of the ACBuy website. Unfortunately, you do actually need to do a bit of gimmicking, a bit of figuring it out. So we're going to start off very quickly. Obviously we've got the homepage now, as you can see, of the ACBuy website, and you want to get stuff to order. First of all, I think the biggest and the most popular method that people use is Reddit, and that is either any of these subreddits. That would be either quality reps or fashion reps. I think these are the two biggest ones that you can potentially use. They'll give you basically slightly different styles and what you can expect. In terms of streetwear and like Carhartt, you know, Supreme, Stussy, that's where you go for fashion reps, or for apparently so yeah, brands such as Supreme, Stussy, maybe even Off-White, as you can see here. I think fashion reps is your best bet, whereas quality reps is more for stuff such as Balenciaga, ERD, Chrome Hearts, all that type of stuff. That's where you can find it. And literally, it's a very simple process. Using Reddit is probably the easiest method. All you have to do is go onto one of the subreddits and search for the brand or the item that you want within the search bar at the top here. So for example, I would search for Balenciaga, and then I would sort by new. And literally everything that has Balenciaga in the title or even in the description will pop up, and you'll be able to find items from that brand on here. And that's the same for the other subreddit. So if I go here and I search for Supreme, obviously I can find the Supreme posts and items. So very simple process, very easy stuff. This, as I said, is the easiest and the most common method. Now the second method already expects you to have found something that you like in the past and maybe bought it, or you're just aware that it's a high quality item because you saw it in maybe one of my videos or someone else's video and you want something similar, and that would be using the store viewer on the ACBuy website. So for example, you have this long sleeve here that I featured in my recent unboxing from Drippin, the seller. If you click here, enter shop, you'll be able to see his other items that he has released or is releasing. So as you can see here, you've got another Chrome Hearts long sleeve, which is of a similar style as the one I just shown. I'm actually going to order this because I like it. And this is a very simple method as well, just to find random items. Some sellers will have really large catalogs of items. As you can see, for example, this Drippin guy does not have many items to choose from at all. However, there is a seller such as Rabbit Blue Shop, who I've featured before. And I will say, when sellers have big catalogs like this, usually it might be a bad sign of the quality. And as I've noticed with Rabbit as well, his quality can be quite on and off. It's a bit random, you know, it's not very consistent. So that's pretty much what we can expect with sellers that have a lot of items. And if you want any more links to like seller stores on the ACBuy website, you can just go on my spreadsheet and have a seller link, a seller list tab, sorry, as you can see at the bottom here. So yeah, that's the second method, and also something that people don't usually do. They don't even know that they can view stores for some reason. Up next, we have something also very, very simple, and it is just using the Taobao reverse image search feature, which is also ironically something not many people know exists. If you're looking for an item, obviously knowing what the item looks like is probably a good thing to start off with, and then using the image of that item. As you can see here, I've got multiple items downloaded. I'll just use this cap to go off of. It will load into the Taobao website. As you can see, I press this camera to begin with, then open the image. Now I'll search for it, and Taobao will display similar listings of that item. Now this obviously doesn't always work, especially sometimes when items are super blurred out or censored for obviously copyright reasons. You might not be as lucky, but in this case I did actually manage to find a link for this cap. And as you can see, there are two other options here for the same cap and others that are relatively similar, even some Supreme one here for some reason, whatever the fuck that is. Taobao reverse image search, pretty cool feature. However, like with this jacket, doesn't always give the best results. As you can see, the stuff here for like 60 yuan for this, the Schutzer jacket. Personally, I would not buy this. And also you have to remember, a lot of the time when you find an item on Taobao, it has blurred images. So the reverse image search feature isn't the best, but it's also good to know. You know, it's a good to have. Okay, we're now going to move over to my phone. So as you can see, I'm scrolling up and down, and we are on the Xianyu app. And I think Xianyu is honestly a really good app to have if you're in the rep space. I think if you want to find items that are quite cheap or rarer, things that aren't for sale anymore, I think Xianyu is a good place to be, because sometimes you have things from sellers that aren't available anymore. So for example, if I search for Balenciaga using the BLCG shortcut, you see a lot of listings from different sellers. Now do keep in mind, on Xianyu, it's quite easy to get scammed. And you can also buy secondhand items, so that's why sometimes they'll be cheaper. But in some cases, you will be able to find things that aren't available on Taobao. So for example, I managed to find a Supreme SpongeBob jacket on here, which you guys saw in my most recent video. As you can see, if I search Supreme SpongeBob, a lot of items come up here that you won't be able to find on other sellers, including these long sleeves. Sometimes you will also find retail items such as this. I think it's a cycling jersey, right? So yeah, the cycling gear for 1.5K. Obviously, that is not a rep, that is a retail piece. But you can find the caps here, for example, for 120 each. So Xianyu is really cool for finding items that aren't readily available. And also another cool feature that Xianyu has is the camera search feature. So as you can see in the top right here, if I click on the camera, it will open up my camera and I can scan the Schutzer jacket. Now, I don't actually know if there will be any Deschutes available on Xianyu. Instead, it came up with the Chrome Hearts Deadly though. So as you can see, it's not a perfect feature. Let me see if I can choose another item to show you. So as you can see with the Vetements 404 cap, I do actually have a lot of results with the reverse image search feature on Xianyu. So other than the annoying prompts to log in every 2 seconds, I would say Xianyu is actually a better platform to reverse image search with, especially because you have a lot more listings from people that have bought items in the past and now they will just want to get rid of them, and you will be able to get stuff for a bit cheaper, or just rarer items that you won't be able to find on Taobao or other platforms. That is also very possible. The next method I would say is very popular, and I'm actually not going to use my spreadsheet to showcase this because I don't want to just act like I'm a sellout here. I'm going to advertise reputable spreadsheet because I have a lot of respect for the guy. But as you can see, he has a huge spreadsheet with a lot of items here. Now, visually speaking, I will say reputable. It's not the best looking spreadsheet, but you do have a lot of items, a lot of good descriptions, very fair pricing. This guy doesn't scam you either, as other content creators do, you know, when they have things that are like way too expensive for how much they should actually cost. And he really does have a lot of categories at the bottom, as you can see here. Anything from shoes to bags, wallets, card holders, purses, that's a whole category in itself. But this guy actually has a lot more of the stuff than even I do. You know, that's always nice. In comparison, I did say I don't want to be a sellout. I will show you my spreadsheet just for a split second. As you can see, I have a bunch of stuff as well. But yeah, spreadsheets are a super nice and cool way to find items because it's all very categorized and very, very well separated in most cases and just organized in general. However, as I did say, Reputable did recently make a video exposing many different content creators for scamming you guys on spreadsheets, and that is actually something that happens quite a bit. I did mention it previously slightly in one video if I don't remember correctly. I didn't go into too much detail, but sometimes you will have people listing items on their spreadsheets for double or triple how much they actually cost on a private Wadian store just so they can keep the profit. So please look out for items that are just maybe a bit too expensive. It's hard to gauge if you don't know what you're doing, how much items should cost. Therefore, you should just do more research and figure out whether you can find something similar or even the same item somewhere else for much cheaper. But as I said, me and Reputable, those are two people I can guarantee don't bait and switch. They don't scam you. They don't charge more just for random shit. You are paying actually how much these items cost and not a cent more. Another good way of finding items is through various Discord communities. So for example, this is the ACBuy one here. And as you can see in the Clothes QC channel, you have really a lot of items. And in some cases, people have good titles here. So you'll be able to search through this search bar in the top right here as well. However, in some cases, obviously it'll just be like RL shorts, which will be hard to find, or ERDQC doesn't really specify anything. But you can see there are a lot of different styles, a lot of different items here. And once again, if you find something you like, you can also go on their store of that seller and maybe find something of similar taste. And that also goes for shoes as well, accessories. Obviously a bit less accessories than anything else in here. There's even decor pieces that no one has posted yet, so if you want to be the first, maybe you can be. But there really is a lot of items that you can find here and order if you want to have inspiration or just find things to buy. There are also these W2C channels, which is the Where to Cop channels, where people are constantly sending links and finding items for you if you need anything to find. If you're looking for something to find, for something to buy, you can send an image in here and someone might be able to help you and find that item that you're looking for. Now, another method that kind of expects you to have some knowledge of the space is through the Yupoo stores, such as MVT, who have featured many times. And as I said, I do really like this guy in the past. I do still really like him. His items are always pretty good quality, quite accurate, and he does really care about his customers. And as you can see, his Yupoo is really nicely organized. He's even started producing bags recently. You can click on the different categories and have everything narrowed down to what you're looking for. A lot of Acne variety, a lot of Balenciaga variety, and Yupoo is just a super nice organized way of finding items. However, the one drawback, you do actually need to know where to find these Yupoos. You don't need to have these links. You can't just stumble upon them. That's not possible. Reddit, once again, is your friend to find these. I know, for example, the Freps subreddit has a list of sellers. However, I would not even listen to this. This list is apparently fresh, apparently new. However, a lot of these sellers I would not trust. I would not buy from. But yeah, finding a Yupoo might be slightly confusing. However, if you have a list, I do have some Yupoo sellers on my seller list. Once again, MVT I think is one of the more popular ones, so it's not hard to stumble upon him. There's also No Ghost or Dragon Rebs, who is someone I've bought from in the past, and I can also say that I do recommend him. He has a lot of cool variety. There are others such as, for example, Tiger or Fire, or Ligma Reps. I think even he has a Yupoo at this point. But yeah, Yupoo is just a really cool, organized way of looking at items. A lot of the sellers on Yupoo though are resellers, such as, for example, Merc Official, who really has a lot of variety. I will have to admit, he has a lot of items, a lot of cool stuff. The quality on this will vary quite a bit because it's not stuff he's producing, it's just stuff he's finding in China and then sourcing for you, like making it all easy and nice and accessible and easy to buy. So yeah, a lot of brands here, but obviously the quality is not going to be the best. The prices are going to be quite high for what you're getting. You're paying for the convenience here, basically. I know a big seller in the past used to be Husky. Everyone used to love him. He had a massive Yupoo. Obviously he's not with us anymore. Yupoo stores are quite handy if you can find them, and if you find ones that aren't finessing you. I could potentially recommend them. And that pretty much sums it up. I know this was a very short video, very straightforward. These methods aren't rare or, you know, hidden in any way. These are things that everyone pretty much knows, but it's just something that if you're new to the community, new to buying items from ACBuy, you might be a bit confused on where to actually find stuff. And that's why I wanted to make this video really quickly for you guys, just to give you a general idea of how this whole process looks. Me personally, I use Reddit pretty much the most, and then I also scroll through Taobao and Xianyu. You can find some cool rare items on there, but obviously you might need to make a Taobao account, which can be quite gimmicky sometimes. If you guys do need a video on that, I could make one. However, I don't think it's necessary. But yeah, these 6 methods, 6 or 7, pretty much very, very simple stuff. Still stuff that's good to know. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Obviously, I do really appreciate that. We are trying to rebuild this community after what has happened to my previous channel. Still a very funny topic to talk about. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.